Professional wrestling is an interesting sport/spectacle. Where else will you see adult men who refuse to wear pants fight over belts? Segway. Belts are a really big deal in wrestling, and with good reason. These Over Blinged weightlifting belt meets cummerbund with a dash of rodeo belt buckle symbolize superior ability and represent championship status. Most of the time, these titles are glorious, with captivating designs that grab your attention, like New Japan's IWGP heavyweight title and Pro Wrestling Noah's heavyweight global honored crown. But sometimes promotions roll out some of the worst looking championships, titles that just aren't good, that almost give credence to Vince Russo's position, "The titles are just props, bro." Luckily, we know better. I'm Walt, the most gangster nerd on YouTube, and these are 10 really bad wrestling championships. Number 10, the Dojo Pro Championship. Dojo Pro's wrestling tournament in 2018 was absolutely awesome. A 12-man Mortal Kombat style tournament, with each wrestler given a rank, the two lowest ranked starting things off, winner of that versus the next rank, and so on and so forth. It's really easy to understand. What was not easy to understand was this. The title everyone was after. It's a karate belt. A white karate belt. It has prongs, with a gold faceplate and an inscription in Japanese that I assume reads Dojo Pro. Also, it appears to be super flimsy, as if it were purchased at a knockoff merch table outside the venue. Wrestlers only exaggerate all these stellar visual attributes by wearing it over their shoulders. Why? It has prongs. The wrestlers who advance all the way through the entire tournament, or really, whoever beats Jeff Cobb, wins this. The same exact belt, only black. Fascinating. Now, this tournament hosted some incredible talent, including Jeff Cobb, MJF, Joey Janela, Ricky Starks, James Storm, and the winner, Aaron Solo, who would defend the title at least once against Sammy Guevara. The only thing taking away from all of this is the belt. Number 9, the 2012 to 2018 Ring of Honor Television Championship. Okay, so this title isn't that bad. There are worse out there. But the center plate, it's so out of proportion. Twice as long as it is wide. You have the wording World Television Wrestling Championship with globe backdrop, which is a dead ringer for the old WWF Tag Team Championship, because it ain't what you taking, it's who you taking it from. You feel me? The side plates display duo camel clutches inversed and coming out of a television, with generic Ring of Honor logo plates at the back. Okay, it isn't hideous, but when you see it replaced this, which has more going on but is better, you become relieved it was replaced with this. Sometimes having Jay Lethal tote you around just ain't enough. Number 8, DDT's Extreme Division Championship. DDT always goes above and beyond in its nonsense. Behold, DDT's Extreme Division title. Eat your heart out, Impact X Division. This belt is an absolute eyesore. The Easter Skittle purple strap, the mesh fence faceplate with DT, just DT. I hope they didn't forget their own name. And then the side plates. You got 4 individual plates, but each displaying a word and then something unique. One saying dangerous, displaying a wrestler performing a moonsault. Another saying destroy, with a table and a chair. Another saying pain, showing a wrestler super kicking another wrestler. But the final one takes the cake, displaying a ladder and the word Lisk. Lisk. And if you thought the title was visually infamous, wait till you hear about its defense stipulations. With a name like Extreme Division, images of the brutal garbage in furniture wrestling known as hardcore come to mind. But not exactly. The holder of this title decides what kind of match it is. Now this can lead to anything from a cage match to a tables match, and go even further than that because it's DDT. This belt has been defended in some of the craziest matches, like blindfolded hidden broad death matches. This title is truly something else. Number 7, the NWA National Heavyweight Title. Going back to the 80s and being a big deal in Georgia, this belt gets mad old school love. But unfortunately, that love is the same love you have for nature when you come across a three-eyed fish. The red snakeskin strap is a bit extra, but it's the smaller plates or the small gold decals that really make it look too big. The gold decals are okay, a gold eagle and a gold NWA logo on each side, but then you see that centerpiece. You got two guys wrestling, the US flag, an eagle, the words NWA National Wrestling Champion, two flowers under either of the eagle's wings, and an elephant uppercutting a goat because America. But all that aside, the whole title really makes you think of a giant fruit roll-up with little yellow candies laid on it, which makes for a great snack, but not a good championship belt. Number 6, the original NXT Championship. NXT, though owned by WWE, is completely different in my opinion. The emphasis is on wrestling, and Vince still hasn't ruined it. That being said, look at this thing. Just look at it. It is so bad. The front plate, really the only plate, I just don't know what to think here. You got the letters NXT, that makes sense, but the giant X. As if Vince were giving TNA the finger by blatantly stealing the X design, but they copied the absolute worst design. Oh, don't worry, that one's coming. Along with the enormous X that's going to give it to you, there's a smaller N and T. Though symmetrical, it just doesn't look right. And after all that, the strap. A black leather affair, nothing wrong with that, but the three small squares on each side, along with a row of buttons along the top and bottom, really make this thing look like film. Seriously. Every time I see this first attempt at a belt, I think of an old school film projector. Number 5, the 2013 through 2015 TNA X Division Title. As we know, it's hard to pull off a giant X on your title, but the X Division title Dixie Carter broke out in 2013 was just bad. You start off with that oval shape that even WWE couldn't pull off. Then the oversized X, which is the largest part of the center plate. You got some wings because X's are angelic AF. Only one side plate on either side. I would call them basic, but they each say TNA X Division with odd shapes, like the designer was going for an hourglass, but missed the most defining attribute. Everything has blue accents, which is odd, because when I think TNA or Impact, a red logo has always come to mind. The X Division title itself had always spotted a giant red X, and that was fine. And you know what? Why, Dixie? Why? What were you thinking? I just don't get it. TNA fans were forced to see this eyesore until 2015 when they finally changed things up. And by change things up, I mean they turned everything blue, green. Fabulous. Luckily, we ain't gotta look at this anymore. Number 4, 1979 to 1981 CWA World Heavyweight Championship. 4 corners, baby. It's huge and square. Look at Austin Idol with it. Thumbs up indeed. This belt is almost comical, it is so large. The gigantic square center plate starts off normal enough, name of promotion, world moniker, with flags of United States, Canada, Australia, Japan, and with what I believe is the flag of Cameroon and the flag of the United Arab Emirates. Why Cameroon and the United Arab Emirates? Because it's Memphis. They were over the top before Vince even knew what over the top was. Also, the flag strike me as very bold, as this title was defended all over the world. And by all over the world, I mean Tennessee and Kentucky. International. The lineage of this title claims that Thunderbolt Patterson won its inaugural tournament in Australia. However, no video exists. So this must be another case of the Rio de Janeiro wrestling tournament. But when you really look at the whole thing, it's just proof that just because it's big, doesn't mean it's good. Number 3, the 1984 to 1986 Mid-South North American Championship. If you thought Memphis liked them big, Bill Watts over in Oklahoma liked them even bigger, even better. Just look how big this thing is, it's huge. This is Magnum TA. He was 6'1", 245 pounds, and the belt is bigger than him. Bill Watts brought forth this monstrosity in 1984. It would be held by legends like Butch Reed and Terry Taylor, both of whom make the belt look even bigger. But this is just too much. The enormous front plate, being twice as tall as it is wide, flanked by two smaller but still gigantic plates, each displaying the Mid-South logo. And then on the far left plate, you see a wrestler getting arrested, and on the opposite side, you see a ghost choking out another ghost. Bill Watts was an interesting wrestling personality. All in all though, this belt is literally proof that sometimes less is more. Number 2, the IWGP U30 Openweight Championship. New Japan Pro Wrestling has some of the most prestigious and most beautiful championship belts in all professional wrestling. I really didn't expect to have a New Japan entry on this list, and then I found this. The IWGP U30 Openweight Championship. It was only for wrestlers under 30. I'm used to weight class divisions, gender divisions, style divisions. Only New Japan has ever had an age division. Well, it wasn't a division, it's kind of confusing. However, it's a highly exclusive title, only being held by Hiroshi Tanahashi and Shinsuke Nakamura. Between 2003 and 2006, Tanahashi would be the inaugural champion, holding it for almost 2 years before losing it to Nakamura, who would hold it for maybe 4 months before vacating it. Later, Tanahashi would reclaim it. He would vacate it a year later, since he was about to turn 30 and would no longer be eligible. After this, the title just went away. But look at it. This is a mess. Across the top it reads Champion, that makes sense. Under that, an eagle, and then under a gigantic flying U30 with an odd eye in the center of it, I think it's chasing the eagle. There are 2 Japanese inscriptions, I have no clue what they say. Across the top center plate you have a ripple cut texture, which really makes the whole thing look like a gigantic seashell. The whole thing is just cluttered up. It's an original concept, but still really hard to look at and probably even harder to take seriously. Number 1, the Lucha Underground Gift of the Gods Championship. To quote Adam Blampier, this is wonderfully Mortal Kombat stupid. I had one rule on this list, 1 belt per promotion. Lucha Underground has this monstrosity as well as the Lucha Underground Championship. Because the top prize should be cursed Aztec gold, did Jack Sparrow teach you nothing? The Gift of the Gods Championship, besides being completely hideous, wasn't your traditional championship. Instead of being a top prize, this entitled you to a shot at the top prize, provided you give 1 week's notice. It's pretty much WWE's Money in the Bank or New Japan's IWGP Challenge Rights briefcase, but in belt form. Oh, and I almost forgot to tell you, you didn't win this championship in a match. No, that would make sense, and we are discussing Lucha Underground. Take notice that this belt consists of 7 separate plates. Each plate had a special place in it for an Aztec medallion, each medallion representing one of the 7 tribes of the ancient Aztec world. Wrestlers would have to compete and win each of the medallions. Once a wrestler had all 7 medallions, they can insert them into the belt and receive a gift from the gods, a shot at the Lucha Underground Championship. In wrestling, I love you, I really do. After someone assembles this title and cashes it in, is cashing appropriate? The belt is then separated and the whole process starts again. This is totally ridiculous and absolute gold. The title is a fever dream by Lucha standards, and that is saying something. And that is the list. Now we both know I'm right. You know I'm right. I know I'm right. We know I'm right. But if you got something you want to add, put it down in the comments. I'm Walt, the most gangster nerd on YouTube, and I'll be seeing you soon enough.